Yeah, so these are really, really helpful tips. The meditation, I want to ask you, how much do you think meditation has helped you? Like, what did it do? Because I actually just recently started to meditate again. I was using Brain Tap and, guided meditation, light and sound. It was great. But I found when I actually just do quiet meditation, even though it's not that dramatic, but I think it's making a big difference for me. And it's just really, really fascinating. So
Well, I've gone through, I guess I started like in the late 90s, and I've gone through a lot of different phases of trying different techniques and different styles. Um, I think the one that I probably did for the longest was Vedic meditation, which is similar, kind of comes from the same lineage as transcendental meditation. And that's 20 minutes twice a day, no headphones, no props at all. It's just you and your mantra kind of inside your mind, gently and slowly repeating the mantra that was given to you when you got trained by your teacher. And I think that was like the thing that really moved my meditation forward, because there's just something that happens when it's just you, and it's just, I mean, in Vedic meditation, it doesn't even have to be silent. I mean, I used to meditate in the middle of a park in New York City or wherever. I mean, I still prefer that it's quiet, but it's more about the silence within. So I think there's a lot to be said in that, because there's nothing other than your mantra distracting you from your presence, right? So I use Brain Tap all the time. I love it. I have it at home. I use another thing called New Calm, which is
Mhm.
doesn't have the light show, but New Calm is like really powerful for restoration, and it's kind of a forced meditation. It just knocks you into theta, and it's just a really restful. It's an app, and these little biosignaling stickers you put on your wrist. And I've done all kinds of different guided meditations. I love Joe Dispenza's meditations. I've tried it all. I think sometimes out of just laziness, I'll end up doing a guided meditation. Like this morning, I did an hour-long Joe Dispenza meditation with his breath work before, and it was great. But it took much less discipline for me to do that than to sit and do my Vedic meditation in silence within myself, with no props and no gadgets or anything, and just me, myself, and I, and dropping in. To me, that requires much more discipline, because it's like nothing's happening. You know what I mean? I think it's a harder practice. And so, like, when people ask me about getting into meditation and say that they struggle, I always say that, you start with the low-hanging fruit, which is where you have something to listen to engage
Mhm.
in. And then as you start to derive benefit from that and you enjoy that, then to actually be trained by a proper meditation teacher that really gives you a practice, such as
Mhm.
Vedic meditation or something of that nature. So
Mhm.
I would say for the past couple of years, I've been more in a phase of actually listening to things and kind of going on journeys in my meditations, versus the many years before that I was very committed to once and oftentimes twice a day, of just the 20 minutes of silence and just really being with that presence. That said, I think anything we can do that gives us a reprieve from being engaged with the mind, engaged with the ego, engaged with the intellect. I mean, even 5 minutes, even just on the way over here, I was meditating at a red light coming to do this interview with you, because I was really kind of, I mean, I agitated in the sense of being upset, but I was just busy and running around. And it's like, oh, it's almost 5. I got to get to the studio for Joy. And I was like, whoa, slow down, take a breath. And it was a long red light. And I just had a little meditation sitting right there. And then that's all I had to do to change from like running the guys, building my fence, and we're doing all this stuff at the house, and just a crazy day, just very active, really busy. Just, I mean, how long is a red light? I mean, they seem long when you're in a hurry, but what was it, 10 seconds or something, right? And that totally reset me to walk in the studio and have a different degree of presence. So
Mhm.
for me, meditation, there's not a right or wrong, there's not a good or a bad. It's like whatever's most effective for you at the stage at which you find yourself in your life and your level of consciousness and your level of development. I think for me, the main benefit, just as an overarching, recommendation, is just beginning to have a relationship with that part of myself that is other than the thoughts that I'm having, the feelings that I'm having, the emotions, the sensations in my body, to actually be in touch with consciousness, which is what we really are, and to give ourselves the gift of having some time to connect with what's real, so that when we come back into the 3D realm, as you and I are now, we can participate in it, yet we know that there's much more than that going on, right? In going into that quantum realm, which is the energy field that exists before the particle, before matter, before solid objects, the physicality, our body, the way we think, the way we feel, all those things, that's real to a degree. But then when you go into a deep meditation, all of that disappeared. Where did it go? You're still there. Who's the
Mhm.
one that's still there?
Mhm.
Who is the one within me, or who is the version of me that is able to sit there and witness, wow, I'm having a lot of thoughts right now. There's a me, and then there's the thoughts. And that gap of separation is where peace exists. I believe
Mm.
that's what we're all looking for, is that gap. Now, to live there permanently would mean you'd probably have to leave your body, right? Or be enlightened, I guess, self-realized. But to be a participant in one's life and be active in the physical material realm and still kind of have one toe in the water of consciousness and awareness that it's all kind of a game that we're playing. Meditation is one of the main tools that I've used to be able to live like that. And when that becomes useful, especially, is when one is up against adversity, and
Mm.
the adversity that one is facing seems very real and concrete, to the point where it's causing you to be unhappy or very afraid or angry, right? To really be in suffering. The suffering is because we start to believe that the reality being projected by our mind and by our ego and all of the things that our ego is doing to keep us safe and alive, we start to believe in that too much. We buy into the story, and then we begin to suffer. When I've learned over time to take breaks and step out of being Luke and being the one who's watching what Luke is thinking and feeling, that is where I found the golden key that opens the door into being able to take life less seriously.
Mhm.
Then I go back into something, I encounter a problem, and I'm like, I don't know, wait. This is not real. Or the thought that I'm having, say somebody does something and I think they're doing it to spite me or to hurt me, or they're trying to cheat me, or they don't like me or whatever, right? Let's just, a mind game. Your mind makes up some narrative around some event in one's life, right? Without meditation, for me, my mind would go, yeah, that person's a jerk, and they did that to you because they don't like you and they're trying to hurt you or they want to cheat you or whatever, right? And it would make up a story, and I would at no point question that. I would just believe that, and I would go with that, and then my behavior toward them and toward my life in general would actually be motivated by thoughts that weren't even true, that weren't even real. It was just a story that my mind made up because it was all flustered about something. But in meditation, I might be able to look at that same situation and go, well, it seems like this is what's happening, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe that's just thoughts that I'm having about this situation. And maybe those thoughts aren't actually accurate. Maybe they're not true. Maybe I'm buying into a falsehood that's been made up because I'm hurt and I have some feelings that I don't know how to contextualize. And so my mind's going to start creating and unraveling all of these stories that are actually fake. It's fake news. I don't
Mhm.
know how anyone, I mean, because I've never could do it, could begin to solve problems for themselves instantaneously without learning how to step back from the mind and out of the mind and actually witness the thoughts that are proliferating in one's experience. Having that witness observer, it's like you're inside your house, right? And you're running around doing in there and everything seems very real and you're having all these problems in your house. It's like meditation is like going boop and floating above your house by about
Mhm.
100 feet and watching your little self run around in circles like a rat in a maze, and go, oh man, you don't need to work that hard, and give
Yeah.
give oneself some love and compassion and understanding, and get a reprieve from those things that often drive us unconsciously. That's the gateway to the unconscious. Well, there are other tools too, but speaking of meditation, there's things in our subconscious that are driving us sometimes into negative or even destructive patterns without our even knowing it's happening, because we don't know how to detach and create that gap of separation between ourselves as consciousness and ourselves as the doer and the actor and the believer and the thinker and the feeler. We have
Yeah.
the opportunity to step out of that game and just watch what's going on for a few minutes a day, just to go, okay, I'm going to step into another realm where all of this is less real. I know it'll be here when I get back, but when I come back, my perspective is likely going to be dramatically changed in a positive sense as a result of having done so.
Yeah. And I think speaking from personal experience, it does take a level of discipline and, to fight the compulsion of staying where you're at, because sometimes people are so addicted to how they're thinking, how they're feeling. They want to stay angry. They want to stay obsessed. They
Yeah,
want to stay
totally.
anxious because you're right there, and it's better to just stay right there because it takes too much energy to get out. But at what point are you going to try something new because you are stuck? You're stuck in your mentality and your happiness. So that's when, I think that extra effort is very much worthwhile. That little discipline, just like how people have to be disciplined to exercise, is no different. This is a
Totally.
brain exercise,
If
right?
if I could only take some of my discipline, which I'm quite disciplined about meditating. I mean, I meditate every morning. I very, very rarely ever miss a morning. Exercise now, on the other hand, I mean, I really just have never enjoyed it. I mean, I work out a couple days a week fairly hard. I mean, I'm 51. I don't, I want to stay young and feel good. So I do it reluctantly, but I do it. But man, finding the discipline to like get on my freaking AI exercise bike and like really exert myself, it requires probably 100 times more discipline than me going, all right, I'm going to sit here and just be quiet for 20 minutes and just go within. I mean, I don't know. It's just the way I'm
That's
wired, I
funny.
guess.
I'm the reverse. I think because I found, like Legree Fitness Pilates. So I just sign up automatically. I sign up for every day. So if I don't show up, they're going to penalize me. So I'm just going to show up every day. So I ended up working out every day. But I need, yeah,
That's
I had to.
that's a good tactic. You reminds me, when I was still living in LA. This is a few years ago. I was living in the Hollywood Hills, kind of up behind the Chinese Theater, and they built a new gym down by the Chinese Theater on Hollywood Boulevard. And so I'm like, yeah, I got to get in shape. I got to start to work out. So I went down there and I got a membership. It was like LA Fitness, I think it was, and got a membership. Had the membership for over a year. Never once went in there except because I had to go in person to cancel my
Oh
membership. They
my
wouldn't let me do it over the
God.
phone. So it's like
Oh
I
my
went
God.
one time to say like, all right, I quit. Yeah. But I did
That's
exercise during that time, just to be fair to myself and to be honest, but I just also just hate gyms. I can't stand the lighting, the smell of the plastic, the music is
Mhm.
horrible. Like
Yes.
too many people, it's too loud, too bright. It just is too hard on my nervous system. So like I usually work out by myself. That's
Yeah.
mine.
Yeah.
But that also requires, unfortunately, like way more discipline than like having an appointment at a gym with a trainer. My little brother owned a gym and he was a trainer, and I would commit and pay him, and I'm supposed to be there at 7 a.m. tomorrow. So if I didn't go, he would be pissed at me and I would lose the money. So then I would go, so it's funny with that building habits.
Right. Right.
Probably
So we,
much more difficult to have someone hold you accountable to meditation though, right? Because it's free. Like once you learn how to do it, it's not like
yeah.
you have to go see a meditation trainer every morning to meditate like you would a personal trainer.